Welcome to another video, guys. Today we have a little bit of something different. Not sitting in the car talking to you guys, not sitting in the car yelling at you guys. Today I'm actually going to be giving you guys some value and show you guys how to train, because so many of you guys are having difficulty with training, difficulty with staying consistent, difficulty with just doing the right things and knowing that you're making progress each and every single day. All right, so today we're going to go over my RPM shredding comprehensive guide. Basically, how to be a jacked lean badass 101. Let's get right into it. So if we're gonna go over here, the first thing it comes down to when you're trying to figure out how to train, I'm gonna switch colors for this one. We're gonna go with this blue marker. The first thing you guys probably wanna know is, how do we train properly? How do we train properly to ensure that we're gonna get maximum growth, to make sure that we're not wasting our time, to make sure that our sets are doing what they're supposed to be, all right? So what are we looking for over here? How do we train? How do we train? That's great and all, but realistically, how we train doesn't really matter if we don't understand something that's above it in the first checkbox I'm about to write down, that it's way more important. And that is, why do we train? You're going to have to bear through me with my beautiful handwriting, but let's get into this. Why do we train? That's a question you should actually be asking yourself. Stop asking, how do you train? You need to ask yourself, why are you training? If you don't understand why you're training, how you train, how you eat, everything, it's not going to work out, because you're not going to understand why you're doing it. So if we get right into it, for the basics, why do we train? Because you want to be bigger. You want to be bigger. You want to be leaner. You want to be bigger and you want to be leaner. Those are some of your goals, okay? What else? You want to look better. You want to look better. You want to be bigger, leaner, and better. What do these things really mean? Like that's great. You know you want to do that. You know you want to go to the gym because you're unhappy with how you look. You're unhappy with how you feel. You want to be bigger, leaner, and better, okay? That's great, but why do you want to be bigger, leaner, and better? That's a question you need to be asking. We set it up here. Why? Why do you want to be bigger, leaner, and better? And the only way to actually figure out why you want to be bigger, leaner, and better is you have to kind of go into, what do these things really mean for you? And what are you trying to accomplish with these things? Most likely it's going to come down to what it came down to me when I first started my fitness journey. Is going to be lack of confidence. However you spell confidence. Boom. Lack of confidence. That is your first problem. You're not confident with yourself. You go walk up to people, you don't feel confident in the things you're saying. You hesitate towards people. You just kind of feel, like they're going to be taking advantage of you, or they're not going to believe what you're saying. And what else does that come down? That's because you are insecure. And I'm not directly just trying to point out you, the viewer. I'm saying these things because these are my problems. These are the things that I faced when I begun, and this is the stuff that I had to actually realize in order to make the change, in order to actually be able to stay consistent. I had to go deep down the rabbit hole of what these things really mean, okay? Because I had a lack of confidence and because I was insecure. Because, why else? I woke up feeling like shit. I woke up feeling like shit every single day. And it wasn't just that I felt like shit every single day. A lot of the days, I did not want to wake up. A lot of the days, realistically, let me make sure this is still in frame so you can actually see. Let's zoom in here. Make this a whole lot better. I did not want to wake up. I'm going to adjust sliding for you guys because there's a bit of glare on the board. Let's see if you can see that a whole lot better. Yeah, there we go. A lot of these days, I simply just really didn't want to wake up. I was hoping each day that it was going to be my last, that tomorrow I was not going to wake up, that the next day I was not going to wake up, and I wasn't just going to have to deal with the problems. And I didn't want to try to end it because that would have hurt too much. That would have been too much pain. And instead, if I just simply did not wake up again, I didn't have to feel this. But I realized that that just doesn't happen. It just doesn't work like that. So I had tried to make myself not wake up. Guess what? I obviously woke up. I'm obviously still here. So I had to go back to these things. I felt like shit. I was insecure. And I had a huge lack of confidence. All right, I was just scared of people, to talk to anyone. And if someone would say something to me, I felt like no matter what it was, even if I had the utmost confidence, I still felt wrong. I still felt like they had some advantage leverage over me. I just felt like I was getting walked over with everything in my life. And we do not know how we are going to train unless we know why we are going to train. We are training because we have these things. And what does training do for us? It destroys the current version of our self. Training allows us to destroy the current version of ourself. If we destroy who we are right now, we can create something more. You can't fix something if it's not broken. So we literally need to break ourselves. That way we can break down these things. And we cannot break down these things unless we just dive into these things. Unless we actually figure out that we have a lack of confidence and where it's coming from. Where are the insecurities coming from? How do you feel when somebody comes up to talk to you? When you go say something, when you want to drive around with the music down and you know other people are listening, how does that make you feel? Why do you still care about what other people are thinking about you? Because if you're just training so that other people think highly about you and start thinking better about you, you're going to get burnt out and you're not going to stay consistent. And that's something I'm going to write down on this box over here is how do we stay? I'm going to write cons, but that stands for consistent. How do we stay consistent? If we don't know why we train, we can know how to train. We can know how to diet. We know how to train, how to diet, but if we don't know why, this doesn't matter, and we're not going to stay consistent. So we need to know why we are training. We are training to destroy the current version of ourselves. Not only are we destroying the current version of ourselves, but training is hard. Training is hard. It is difficult. And what is it? It is doing hard shit. If we are doing hard shit, it is going to lead us to do more difficult things. And it's a cycle that happens over and over. The more easy things you do, the more easy things you start doing, and the easier it gets to do easy things. You have to start practicing doing hard things. And that's something that I'm going to talk about more when we get to this how do we stay consistent box. But for now, training is doing hard shit, and the more we train, the more we are training ourselves that we can do hard shit. And we're able to actually push ourselves through something each and every day to become more. Because we're not just training to be healthy. We're not just training to look better. We're training to destroy the current version of ourselves to create something new. Because you are sick and tired of being the same person that you have. You are sick and tired of feeling the way that you feel. I want you to take a moment to actually think how you feel right now. And maybe you are comfortable. Maybe you're sitting down, laying in your bed, sitting in your desk chair, whatever it is. But try to capture some sort of your feelings of insecurity. Think of something, put yourself mentally in a position that would really make you uncomfortable. Okay? Now I want you to capture that feeling and think about training. Okay? When you are training, a lot of times you go into the gym, you're like, oh, I don't really want to go, dude. And sometimes I do feel like that as well. And that's why I have to constantly remind myself why I am training. Because I am destroying the current version of myself. And even though I have built the confidence and destroyed the insecurities, I have to continue to train, continue to remind myself why I am training, because I have to continue to destroy that version of myself to create this new version of myself and to be this person I want to be. And I have to stay consistent in order for it to work. If I break it, I lose the momentum. Okay? But in order to know how to train, you need to know why you need to train. And here's the thing about it, okay? We're going to make a graph here. And let me just try to explain it the best way. So we're going to go like this. And let's say that here's where, you could be up here. And here's where you are on the graph. You're sitting right here, right? You're feeling okay, you're kind of comfortable, but you don't really like how you feel. You might be here, and if you are here, maybe we'll say that you're right here if you're a little bit more in this boat like I was. But even if you're just feeling these things, and as well as whatever else they are, I want you to imagine them and imagine that they're written on the board right now. Let's say you're right here or you're right here. Either way, all right? We're going to go with right here for the example. Your goal is to go up here. And that kind of looks like this. Things get a little difficult, but as you get better, the curve exponentially grows up. There's kind of a downspout, and then it goes up. But it's not that long of a distance. Okay? And to get here to here, you need to practice doing hard shit so you can do more and more hard things. But if you don't, and you just fall into the comfort, and you continue to continue to not be consistent, continue to not remind yourself why you are training, you are going to end up here. All the way down here. And this is almost, I don't even know if you can see me. Can you? Yeah. All the way down here. And this is almost what we call the point of no return. Point no return. Now, it's not exactly the point of no return, but it's pretty damn close. I don't think there actually is a point of no return, but this is like dead smack rock bottom, almost point of no return, okay? And there is one benefit between here and here that this does not have, okay? But you don't need to get down here. But the problem is, the reason you don't want to keep on pushing yourself, you don't want to train, is because you fear that in the chance of, you know what, I'm going to even redo this line because I don't feel like that's how it is. The line sometimes, honestly, dude, the line kind of goes like this sometimes. And you feel like when you start to get here, you don't want to push past because you are afraid that you're going to get down here or you're going to get all the way down here. But the problem with that is that if you give up and you quit, no matter what, without fail, it does not matter. I don't care what you think. You are going to end up here, and then you are going to end up here. It's physically impossible that you do not end up here if you give up and just keep on sliding off. It is physically impossible. The only way to get here is to push through and go through the difficulty and then slide up and rise all the way to who you truly need to be. And how do you do that? Through training, through dieting better. But you're not going to be able to stay consistent if you don't know why you're training. And this is why we are training. Now, as I said before, there is a benefit to, being here or here, and that's that as you go down this line, this represents pain. And as your pain increases, that does give you a greater and greater reason to actually finally make that change. I had to get all the way down here before I can make that shot to go right here. But the thing is if you can tell the difference between this line and this line is a straight shot to success. This one goes down a little bit because you weren't actually at rock bottom. You're just kind of complacent. As soon as that pain builds up, you can't get any lower. You really can't. You think you can, but you really can't. It's only up from there. But you're going to be stuck there forever, and you're going to get to the point, you're going to be stuck at that point of no return if you do not begin to make the change. You need to constantly remind yourself while you're training that you're trying to destroy the old version of yourself. That's box one. Now that we've gone over that, we can go over how do we train. All right. Now this is a lot more of a simple process, but this is something extremely important that I need to go over so that you guys can actually understand what I'm talking about. So let's erase all this. Make sure that's on, yeah. All right, cool. That is all erased. How do we train? How do I design, I'm gonna choose a different color for this one. How do I design my training methods for myself, my clients, to actually get exceptional results, to actually get lean and jacked, to actually build muscle and burn fat at the exact same time? How do I do that? That comes down between the training and that comes down between the diet. Those two things, okay? All of this is important. We're gonna focus on these two for now. So the first one, how do we train? How do we design our workout program? You go into the gym, you see all these machines, all the dumbbells, okay? Maybe it's your first day in the gym, maybe it's your first year, second year, whatever. You still have a little bit of hesitation. You don't understand exactly the proper way to train. Let's go over that and show you exactly what I do, how I design it. That way you can design your own workout plan. Okay, we're gonna start off with, typically each workout is 6 to 8 exercises. Each workout, whenever I go to the gym, I walk in, I know that I'm going to be doing anywhere from 6 to 8 exercises. Sometimes some days do go up to say 10 or 11. That depends on the day. That depends on how lagging of a muscle group that I have. But in general, we're going to be going with 6 to 8 exercises per day. It's your chest day, you're doing 6 to 8. You got arms, 6 to 8. Legs, 6 to 8. We're going to do this. How do we choose whether it's 6, 7, or 8? That really depends on how much fatigue you have at the end of the workout and at the end of the week. If you just start feeling really beat down and really tired, and you know your sleep is optimized, you're getting your 8, 9, 10 hours a night you need to be getting in order to actually recover. We're going to go with 8 just for the easiness example. If you're getting your proper sleep and you're still extremely fatigued, then maybe you drop it down to 6. And if you drop it down to 6, now you have a shit ton of energy. Maybe you might want to bring it up to 7. That way, you're getting optimal muscle growth, but you're still not overburning yourself with that 8th exercise. You can also adjust your set amount, how many sets you're doing, to kind of change that too. But in general, we're going to increase or lower the amount of exercises we're doing. Now, when we do our exercises, we're typically looking at 6 to 8 reps for our heavy compound lifts. Anything that is a heavy compound, we're typically doing 6 to 8 reps per set. Okay, I forgot to write this down, but we do 3 to 4 sets per exercise. 3 to 4 sets through exercise. Let's run that back from the top. That way you just understand. We're doing 6 to 8 exercises per day on one day. Then we're going to do 3 to 4 sets per exercise that we do. And now per set, we're going to be doing 6 to 8 reps on our heavy compound lifts. Anything you're doing a heavy compound lift, you're going to be sticking to those. Now, if you're doing more of a medium compound lift, a medium weight is what I mean, that's going to look more like anywhere from 8 to maybe 12 reps. Typically more like 8 to 10, but sometimes it's 8 to 12. This marker's kind of dying, so I might have to switch it soon. We're going 8 to 12 reps for our medium compounds. Slightly lower weight, higher rep. Some of you guys are going to benefit more from a higher weight and lower rep exercise. Some people are going to benefit more from a lower weight and higher rep exercise. It does kind of depend on how your body type works and kind of what your body grows with. But in general, this is the routine that I use that gets me and my clients growth. Now, furthermore, we're going to be looking at, now this one's actually dead, so I'll switch up. 12 through 15 reps on our isolations. $12 to $15 reps on our isolation exercises. Anything that's in isolation, we're going to be sticking towards 12 to 15 reps. So say, example, you're doing your pec fly on the pec machine. You're trying to isolate your pecs. You're going to be doing 12 to 15 reps. The reason you want to go with a higher rep range on your isolation and a lower rep range on your compounds is because you have something called your central nervous system, or your CNS. Okay, when you are doing a compound lift is using a lot more muscles and joints at once. Okay, so say you're doing your incline chest press, or you're doing dips or something like that. Your nervous system has a certain amount of drive that they can put towards whatever your workout you're doing, and that's what's gonna, that's what's gonna allow you to push the weight. And if your nervous system is putting drive towards all these different muscles, you're going to be able to lift more weight because you have more muscles at once activating to lift that exact amount of weight. But you're not going to be able to do nearly as many sets because you're going to burn out because your nervous system isn't going to have that much energy in order to push forward. Furthermore, if you're doing something more of an isolation exercise and you're targeting just your pecs, like on the pec fly, that's mostly what you're targeting is just your pecs. You're going to be able to do a lot more reps because your nervous system is only putting that energy towards your pec. It's just all straight going there. Okay, it might be going a little bit towards those front delts as well, but it's really driving in on those pecs, and you're able to do a whole lot more reps. Okay, that's why we are doing it in this fashion. Now, you've got all your sets down, you kind of understand, how many reps you need to be doing per set. Now you're asking yourself, okay, well, how long do I wait in between, in between each set? Typically, we're going to be waiting 90 through 120 second rest. You're going to be waiting between 90 and 120 second rest. That's, what is that, a minute and a half to 2 minutes that you're typically going to be waiting in between each set. That way you still have a pump going into the next one, but it has kind of died down a little bit. That way you still have, you have more energy to actually push through. That burn dies off, but it's still there, so you're still going to be getting growth, as well as your CNS has time to recover. That way you can put effort into the set. If you're doing anything more than 3 minutes, and especially if you're getting distracted on your phone, you're going like 5-minute rest breaks, by then you're going to be losing your pump. You're just kind of going to be fucking up your workout, and it's not going to be as good. I know you know exactly how it feels when you get distracted on a YouTube video, on an Instagram reel. Maybe you're supposed to be training right now and you're watching this instead. Turn it off, finish your gym session, then go watch this video again later. But when you take too long of a break, you lose your pump and you're just not strong as anymore. it just kind of, it just kind of ruins you. There are very small chances, very small times where say you're going for a PR or something and you do need a much longer break to recover depending on how hard you're pushed yourself. But typically that's a very small amount of time and you only have to do that sometimes. So we're looking at 90 to 120 second rest break in between each sets. Okay, let me see, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I think that's pretty much all we got for this one. We're going to check that guy off the box now. Something I can add on before we go on to how to diet is you're wondering, like, how do I choose what machines to use? What, kind of, how do I know what to pick and like what to work out on? The best way to do this is to go get your phone, get a piece of paper, write down all the different machines that you have. Your pec fly, your hack squat, your cable fly. Write down all the stuff that you have. Come home, look at them, and you're going to have to devise a plan on what machines do you know work best for you. And if you don't exactly know what machines work best for you, you can always go online, do some research. You can reach out to me in my DMs on my Instagram and ask me, tell me what machines you have in your gym, and I'll let you know what I think the best option is going to be for you so that you can ensure muscle growth and you're not wasting your time in the gym. But the best way to do that, regardless, is you're still going to have to go to the gym, even on a piece of paper, on your phone, whatever. Write down the machines you have. A lot of time you think you know all the machines and everything that you have in the gym, but you really don't, because you kind of stick to like a certain few for however many years you've been going, and you don't look at the other ones. Write them down so you actually know what they are and you can kind of go over them. And if you are working with a coach, you can share those with your coach. That way he can actually devise a more in-depth, better plan that's going to ensure you better growth. But furthermore, how do we diet? This is something you've probably heard. Abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym. Now, when we do our workouts, I do add an ab exercise before most of the days. It's typically one exercise around two to three sets, around 12 to 15 reps typically. That way you can actually build some abdominal muscles, because if you grow your abdominal muscles, obviously you're going to be able to see them a whole lot better. They're going to be bigger. You can hold more water, hold more body fat, and still see your abs through. So it is very important to still be training your abs, but you don't need to be killing them in the gym. You just need to be doing one set of workout, one set per day, and that is plenty to do that. But besides that, the big thing that's going to really bring them abs out and really get you shredded like I was in this picture here is your diet, okay? I know that's something that a bunch of you really struggle with, that you have told me, that I've had polls on my Instagram, and I see most people are really struggling with their diet. Now, I think a lot more people are actually struggling with their training, but they really didn't know. I didn't know that I was struggling with my training until I started researching more and invested into a coach. But dieting is something that I think a lot of people struggle with, and that's something that can really change a lot. So the first thing you guys need to understand is, what are your macros? What are macros? How do you choose your macros? How do you choose how many calories you're supposed to be eating? I know a lot of you guys wonder about how many calories you're supposed to be eating, but you really forget about your macros. And now the statement is true: calories in, calories out. That's how you gain and that's how you lose weight. But changing the macros is going to determine how that weight looks on your body. You can adjust your calories, but if you have your macros all set wrong, you could be losing a whole lot of muscle and holding on to a whole lot of fat. You're going to be losing fat regardless if you're in a caloric deficit, but having proper macros is going to ensure that the nutrients go to where they need to go, okay? So how do we choose our macros? Well, typically it looks something like this. The first thing we're always going to look at is our protein amount. And how much protein should we be eating? 0.8 to 1.3 grams per pound. 0.8 to 1.3 grams per pound of body weight. So let's say that you weigh 165 pounds. And we're going to go with a medium average of 1 gram per pound. You would be eating 165 grams protein per day. 165 grams protein per day because you weigh 165 pounds. Now, when would you choose whether it's 0.8 or 1.3? That would be more towards if you're on a really strong bulk or a really strong cut, and that's something you kind of have to tweak with more. But a general great term to start with, and what you should be doing is just focusing on 1 gram per pound, 165 grams of protein per day. There are times where you will be going up to 2 grams per pound. But that is something that you that's a lot more of a complex argument. And there's a lot more details that you have to really go into to actually get benefit from the 2 gram per pound. There is times where you will get benefit from that, but you don't really need to go up to that. The most you should be going with is 1.3. So we're going to just be, for the simplicity of it, we're going to be going with 165 grams per pound of body weight. The next thing we're going to track is our fats. And typically for fats, I stick between 65 through 95 grams per day of fat. Now the thing with fat is that fat is not bad because fat makes you fat. Fat has a lot more calories than both protein and carbs. So therefore you have to eat a whole lot less because you do not want to go over your calorie amount, because calories in, calories out is still a real thing. Okay, and typically we're going to be going 65 to 95 grams per day. You don't really want to be going under 50. That's like your minimum, because you do need fat for basic hormone function. You do need fat to digest certain micronutrients, omega-3s, a whole lot of stuff. You do need fat to actually be able to digest them and absorb them. So you don't really want to be going below 50, but it's typically going to be between 65 and 95. If your body is a body type that does need a whole lot more fat, that's where we would kind of go out of this range, and that would be something a little bit more complex that we would have to get into and kind of tweak a bunch of numbers to find out where your energies are optimal, where your energy levels are optimal, where you feel the best, where you have the best cognition, and all kinds of other stuff. And fat is not the devil, but it has a lot more calories. So we're going to be looking at 65 to 95 grams per day. And what do we do for our carbs? And this was fat and carbs. Typically, I just fill in the number between the two. Okay? Now, you don't always have to pick your fat number first. There are times where you will be picking the amount of carbs you need to eat first, and that really also depends on what's your fasted blood glucose, how does your insulin resistance look, how much water are you holding, how brain foggy are you having a lot of joint pain? If you're having a lot of those kinds of symptoms, that would be where maybe you want to choose a carb amount like 300 grams of carbs, and then you would increase the protein to 1.3 grams per pound, or even go up to 2 grams per pound, and then you would fill in the rest of the calories with fat, okay? But if we go over here, just to write this down as a quick reference, we have 449. What does that mean? Protein, carbs, and fat. Protein has 4 calories per gram, carbs has 4 calories per gram, and fat has 9 calories per gram, okay? So if we're trying to calculate how many grams of carbs we should be eating a day, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go over here, and since I'm such a great mathematician, I'm going to use my calculator for this. We're going to go over to something like I believe it's a NASIC If you're part of my coaching, you know it's linked in there for the I'm losing my brain thought on the word. Your BMR calculator, basal metabolic rate calculator. How many calories are you consuming to be able to stay at your current weight? Okay, and to keep things really simple, we're gonna go with 3,000 calories. Some of you it's gonna be higher, some of you it's going to be lower. We're gonna go with 3,000 calories. 3,000. 3,000 calories a day. All right. That's what we're going to be eating, okay? So in order to calculate how many carbs we need, first we need to take this 3,000 calorie number, that's our BMR, and we know that we're eating 165 grams of protein. So we're going to calculate 165 grams of protein times 4. That equals 660 calories. So we're getting 660 cal from protein. 165 grams. So at 165 grams, we're getting 660 calories of protein per day. Okay? We're going to go with a median number right here, and we're going to go with 85 grams of fat per day. All right? So if we go 85 times 9, that gives us 765 calories of fat per day. 765 calories of fat per day. Okay, and you can just see right here 165, and what was that? That was 85. So 85 versus 165 grams. That's a huge number difference. And that 85 calories has that many more, that 85 grams has that many more calories than the protein does at 165 grams. Now you can see why fat makes you fat, because it has so many calories. And that's where the problem with that comes, okay? But to calculate this carb number, back to what I was saying earlier, we have our 3,000 calorie number. We're going to go over here, we're going to add these two together, okay? So 660 plus 765. We get 1,425 calories. These two together are 1,425 calories, okay? Now to calculate the carbs, we're going to subtract 3,000 from, or subtract this from that, so 3,000 minus 1,425. That leaves us with 1,575 carbs per day. Now, how do we calculate the macros? We're going to very simply just divide that by 4, because we know that carbs have 4 calories per gram. So we're going to take that number, divide it by 4 in the calculator. And now we have basically 393 grams of carbs that we can eat in the day, okay? And how are we going to do that? We're going to split that up in between our meals, okay? Typically for me, I like to have a little bit more carbs towards my workout. Sometimes, depending on the day, I'll have a little bit extra carbs. I'll have some carbs in the morning to start my day off, and then I won't have as many carbs towards the end of the day. It just kind of allows me to sleep a little better, allows me to wake up a little bit less foggy. But how you should partition your carbs really kind of does depend on you, how you feel during the day. And that's something where you're really going to have to kind of think about, how do you want to split up those meals? So 393 grams of carbs, we figured out that we're eating 85 grams of fat and 165 grams of protein, okay? If your basal metabolic rate has a different amount of calories, and you're eating more protein, less protein, whatever it may be, obviously these numbers are going to change, but now you have a clear understanding of how do you calculate these macros. And here's the thing that I want you to really understand with this, okay? And I just explained this, you might not still understand what any of this shit means, okay? Right now, you are eating 3,000 calories. Let's just say you are eating 3,000 calories per day, but most of those calories are all fat and carbs, and not a whole lot of them are protein, And you're wondering why you kind of have this, muffin top physique, you kind of look a little flabby, you feel weak, you have no energy, you have low testosterone. You're wondering why you have all these problems, okay? When you are building muscle and you are training, you have something that happens called muscle protein synthesis. Muscle protein synthesis is the process that allows you to grow. It's a process that allows your muscles to get bigger. If you're not eating protein, there is no muscle protein synthesis happening because there's not enough protein for muscle protein synthesis to happen. Okay? Now, let's just go into this before I forget this point. If your energy levels do start to suffer from having too many carbs, that would be a great point to move up to that 1.3 grams per pound. That'd be a great time to increase the protein amount, not the actual carb amount. As well as if you feel like you're not growing enough, first thing I would do, as long as you're sleeping properly, you can increase that protein amount and see how that goes for you. You can really change a whole lot. You can really burn a whole lot of fat while simultaneously building muscle if you actually focus on your macros. And how do you know if you're eating your macros properly? You need to be tracking them on an app like MyFitnessPal. If you're not tracking them, you don't know what you're eating. I know you think that you can remember them in your head. Unless you've been doing this for 15 years, I don't think you can. I'm just being honest with you, bro. You have to track your macros, have to track your calories. That way, even if you are cheating, even if you are going over, you can look at yourself or you can go to your coach and you guys can talk about it like, hey, bro, you were wondering why your physique isn't progressing. Okay, well, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, you went over on these macros. That's why your physique kind of looks like shit today. All right? That way we can actually, if we understand this is extremely important to actually shaping and molding how you look. Until I understand this exactly right here, it kind of didn't matter because I was making progress, but I wasn't actually getting jacked and shredded like I did on my full cut. Okay? As I told you before, I would tell you at one point would this happen. When would you ever go down to the 0.8 number? You would go down to the 0.8 number when you're on such a hard cut, like say you're trying to get below 10% body fat. I'm talking like, thick skin shredded, like super thin. If you're trying to get down there and you have already crushed your fat numbers, not going below 50, you've already crushed your carbs, as low as they can, that is where you would go down to that 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. But you would not want to go lower than that. Anything lower than that, you're really going to start to be going too catabolic and you're going to start to be losing muscle mass. But if you understand this principle, watch this back as many times as you need to understand this. If you can really get this through your head, dude, you can make such big progress. Moving on, we now know how to diet. We know how to understand our macros. We understand our calories. We understand how to get abs and how to get six-pack shredded. One of the most important parts about them all, how do we stay consistent? Did my camera turn off? No, it did not. Awesome. All right. How do we stay consistent? One of the most important parts about all of this. If you do not stay consistent, none of this matters because you're obviously not doing any of this shit. And how does it start? It starts when you first wake up. The consistency starts the second you get out of the bed. What do I do each and every single day to ensure that I stay consistent so that I know I can make progress each and every single day? I start off what I call my morning momentum, and I always abbreviate it just for MM. My morning momentum. What is my morning momentum? How does that push me through each day in order to know I'm going to stay consistent, know I'm going to make progress, know I'm not going to fail, know if I do fall down, I'm going to get back up and push through it to the next day, on and on and on. It starts off with my morning routine, okay? And I know, morning routine, A lot of people think a morning routine is bullshit because they've heard so many people talk about some stupid long-ass morning routine that's really just a big waste of time and kind of it's a bunch of fluff and mental masturbation to make people feel good about themselves. That's not what we are trying to do here, okay? What we're trying to do here is actually progress and actually get jacked, get lean, kill our insecurities, build our confidence, feel good about ourselves, and be healthy. Okay, how does it start? What is my morning routine? As soon as I get out of the bed, the first thing I do is I take a cold shower. This is the very first thing I do the second I wake up in the morning. I get up, go to the bathroom, take a piss, take a cold shower, okay? And now before I go to bed at night, I take a full actual shower, wash my hair, wash my body, all that shit. When I wake up in the morning, it's typically like a 1 to 2 minute. It's typically like a 1 to 2 minute thing. I get in there, I rinse off, I get the water on me. I don't get my body temperature so cold where I'm like shivering. I mean, obviously you're going to be shivering and you're supposed to do that, but I don't get my body so cold to where my body temperature drops for like 5-10 minutes. I don't take a full-on long ass shower in there. It's a 1 to 2 minute rinse off to get myself going in the morning. What does this do for me? It wakes me up in the morning and it starts me off with doing something I really don't want to do. The second I wake up out of that bed and my body's burning, my brain is telling me to go back to bed, I'm like, I don't want to do this today. I go walk straight into that cold shower. I'm literally destroying all that instantly. I'm doing something that I don't want to do, and I'm telling myself, today we're going to do not what we want to do, we're going to do what we have to do in order to make progress. And every single time I step out that shower, just like every single time you step out that gym door, when you have an amazing workout, you're happy you did it, you just feel amazing, and you feel electrified and charged to go take on the day. As soon as that is done, step 2, I make my bed. I make my bed. That is a very second step. If you cannot make your bed each and every single morning, dude, what are you doing? It takes at most 5 minutes. And as soon as you've been doing it for a while, you can get it done in like 2. It really doesn't take that long. I don't care how many blankets, pillows, whatever you have. Take them off if that's your excuse. Okay, you can make your bed each and every single morning. You're doing a second thing that you really don't want to do in the morning and priming your brain for progression, to take action. As soon as the bed is made, 3 morning push-ups. I do my morning push-ups. I drop down and I do 50 push-ups. This is a third thing now that I am doing in the morning that I really don't want to do, but it gets the blood flowing, gets the heart pumping, wakes me up even more, gets me feeling good about myself. As soon as that's all done, step 4, I do my morning journal. And the morning journal does not consist of, oh, dear diary, today was a bad day. Today's going to be this day, that day. No. The morning journal consists of waking up. I write down the date, I write down the time, I write down that I completed the rest of my morning momentum, and I just put down whatever thoughts are on my mind on paper. This is a great way to reduce that morning anxiety, because whatever you're thinking about, just write it down. However you feel, if you feel like you're burning inside, just write that down, followed by thanking God each and every single day that you're actually awake, okay? As I've talked about before, I am not a religious person, but I do believe in God. I do believe in some sort of higher power, okay? And that's what I do each and every single day. I thank God for the fact that I actually woke up today and I am able to push a lot harder. I know that I can do this because I do not give up. I keep on pushing over and over and over again. I know that I have a job to provide my clients results. I know I have to show up each and every single day for them, okay? Not only am I showing up for them, but I'm showing up for myself. I'm showing up for my future family. I'm showing up for the people I care about, okay? And even if you think you don't care about anyone, you need to show up for yourself and God. That way you can actually become something more. What's the other option? Is it to just sit there and kind of continue to waste your life, hate your life, sit in the cycle of doing nothing? No. So you're going to give thanks each and every single day. And that's also going to change your mindset, and it's going to put you in a more grateful mood. Following by that, I typically write down something that I'm going to do during the day. You know, if I have a list of tasks I'm going to do, I'll just quickly jot them down. Following that, I'll write down a few goals, I'll write down that, one of my goals is that by the end of this year, I'm going to purchase myself an AMG GTS. I'll write that down. I'll write down, a goal to go finish a project on the car. I'll write down a few different goals, whatever they may be. Whatever your goals, you need to write them down and write down that you are going to accomplish them and that you're just waiting for them to be finished. After that, that's pretty much all it consists of. You're going to put that away and you're going to do whatever it is you need to do for the rest of your day. Starting your day with this, spending the 30 minutes that this takes is going to literally change it's literally going to change your life. It's going to prime your mind each and every single day to be able to remind yourself how to do these things and to be able to do those things properly. Okay? And if you constantly remind yourself that you're trying to, once again, if you constantly remind yourself that you are trying to destroy the current version of yourself over and over and over and over, you will not fail. If you constantly remind yourself how you feel inside, the pains you feel each and every single day, the things that you struggle with, it is impossible to fail. Because instead of you reminding yourself things and you're saying, oh, it's so hard, maybe I shouldn't do this, you remind yourself that those are the very reasons that you need to do that. The very reason that you feel tired the second you start thinking about that, the very reason the second you start thinking about how difficult it could be, how nice it would be if you just sat down, those very feelings are the exact feelings that you need to remember and tell yourself, those are the feelings I'm trying to destroy. That's the version of myself that I do not like, that is not serving me, that is not going to be going to any good place. That's a version that's going to rock bottom, not the version that's going to the sky. You need to better yourself. You need to improve yourself. It starts with leveling up your mindset. It starts with reminding yourself why you're training. It starts with teaching yourself how to train, how to diet. If you can do all these things, it's going to open up so many more opportunities in your life. You're going to have more energy. You're going to be feeling better each and every single day. You're not going to be insecure. You're going to have more confidence to go up and talk to people, to do things, to post that reel, to post that story, to post that video, to go talk to that girl, whatever it may be. You're going to have the confidence. You're going to feel good about yourself, okay? It is not narcissistic. It is not egotistical to feel good about yourself that you're supposed to do. A lot of people also make the argument of, oh, you have to do all this stuff to feel good about yourself. Yes, that is the point of life. The point of life is to do things so that you feel good about yourself. You shouldn't just feel good about yourself for doing nothing and being lazy. That's egotistical. That's what is narcissistic. Okay? The goal is to do all these things to instill the work, because the work instills the worth. Okay? Success comes from the sacrifice. You cannot have paradise without the sacrifice. So what are you going to sacrifice now in order to make it work out? Are you finally going to drop all your vices? Are you going to finally start your morning routine? You know how we stay consistent. You know why you're training, dude. You know how to train and how to diet. You have everything you need to start right now. You have everything you need to start in developing a macro plan right now. You could literally, as soon as this video is over, go sit down, pen and paper, laptop, phone, whatever it may be, go pull up a BMR calculator, calculate your macros. Get a general estimate of how much you weigh, even if you don't have a scale, or go step on the scale if you have a scale. That's something I would recommend all of you getting, is a scale. Track your macros right now. Figure out what they are so that you can start dieting. And you're going to make so much more progress. Furthermore, as I stated in the beginning of the video, throughout it, and if you guys are watching this channel, you probably know, I am a one-on-one personal development and fitness coach. This is what I teach people to do. I teach people how to get jacked lean and become a badass. I'm a car guy. I help teach other car guys how, if you have this car passion, okay? I've talked about my Subaru on this channel. I've talked about my AMG. I spent so much time building my car, going to meets, enjoying it. And it brought me so much joy to be able to do something and give back to others, to be able to, you know, give back to others, and the fact that if my car looks cool, it makes somebody else happy to see it. If I drive by, somebody else gets happy to see exhaust. If I see the car, it feels great. And it gave me this fulfillment. But then as the car kept on breaking over and over again, it was like every time it broke, I completely lost that sense of myself. And I realized it wasn't really the car that was giving that me amazing feeling. It was that, you know, I attached my personality to the car. And since I attached my personality to the car, I only felt good when the car was perfect. And all this other time, I felt like shit. And once I realized I had to start improving myself, and then I still felt good even when the car is broken, and I had more motivation, more energy to fix the car when it would break, and I felt 100 times better when the car was great. I realized that it wasn't the car, it was that I was trying to fill a hole in myself. And I was actually needed to become something more, okay? And cars are still a huge part of my life. I'm still a huge car guy, but I realized that you need to focus on yourself for any of this to even matter. And that doesn't even just go for cars, that goes for whatever your hobby or passion is. And if you don't have one, it still goes for you as well. You still need to focus on bettering yourself and improving yourself. And if you need help with that, if you don't fully understand exactly what I went over after you watched it a few times, feel free to reach out on me. I answer all my DMs on Instagram. You can go see my stories. I'm posting daily on there. I've always got reels posting on there. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to leave my Calendly link in the description of this video below. You can book a free one-on-one consultation call. You can tell me exactly where you are and exactly, you know, what your goals are. That way I can see if what I do here with my coaching is something that can actually help you achieve those goals. But if you don't understand that this all starts with improving yourself, bettering yourself, mastering your fitness, you're not going to get anywhere. And how do you get somewhere? You need to remind yourself why you train. Remind yourself what your pain is, bro. You can do it. Push through. Remember that.